morning. I'm Tim. Welcome to my channel. Going to be having some fun doing some chest workout today. Let's see. I gotta redo my intro. I had an intro for a while and I just changed some things and I've never updated my intro. But I'm just your average dad working out, trying to stay in shape, enjoying the dad life with kids. This week I've been coming back to doing mornings, and I'm gonna be sticking with that. This morning routine works out a lot better for time and consistency with the kids. It's been hard to nail down a consistent workout routine or time since we moved. Everyone's schedules are different and we're doing different things. So this works out a lot better again. So going back to working out in the mornings and having fun with that. I'm going to be working on the bench press today, starting out with 10 pounds to warm up. Always important to take that time to warm up. Like I said, I woke up this morning feeling very grateful, and I think it's a good place to be. Feeling grateful. I have a family member who recently started going through some health issues that have left them, somewhat immobile and not able to function properly or easily. And it makes me very motivated to take advantage of my good health, because you just don't know how long that's going to be there, when something can go wrong. And feeling very grateful for the opportunities that I have. Since moving, it's a huge blessing. I moved kind of to a safer area for my kids. We get to do more stuff without me being stressed out about all of the dangers around. Not only have to worry about the hidden dangers. There's not as many openly dangerous people where I'm at, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. But yeah, that's a big thing. I've been thinking about this morning, just the blessings I have, and taking advantage of those blessings while my body is in good form, making sure that I'm, playing with my kids, making sure that I'm being a good dad, making sure that I'm being a good husband to my wife, like helping her, taking care of things around the house, like being responsible. Just being grateful. I know not everyone's life is, on the same level, but I think most people can look around and find someone that has it worse off and be grateful that they do have the opportunities they have. But I'm also, again, recognize that living in America, I have a lifestyle that, is just an incredible blessing due to where I was born. I understand not everybody has the same opportunities and such, but I'm very blessed. Sad Spooky Robot says, "Hey, handsome, haven't seen you in a while." Oh yeah. Well, for like a month. I was off because I was moving, and then since then, when I moved, just having an inconsistent schedule. But hopefully, it'll be more consistent back to just doing it in the morning, which works out so far really well this week. So hopefully we'll be sticking with that and be more consistent, which will be helpful. Move was good. Move was really good. Been really blessed with where we moved. It's been a lot of fun with the kids. Like we are closer to their school, so we do a lot. Primarily like walking or riding bikes or scooters to school every day. There's a lot of trails to do hiking and stuff, which has been a huge blessing. There's a lot of exploring to do. Yeah, it's very handy. I mean, it's just we like moved to a safer area. So like where I was at, all the trails, like if you there's a trail that goes around the neighborhood I live in, and where we were before, that trail would have just been covered with people living in tents or people passed out and needles everywhere. I haven't seen a needle since we moved. Versus, before, like you find needles in the park, the playground, you find needles, you find drug paraphernalia everywhere. Um, and it's just not that way. I haven't had anybody being crazy and just losing their mind lately, so it's definitely different, and it's a blessing. Yeah, it's definitely an improvement. Just it does it does at times make me sad for the people that we like left behind in that situation, and I just wish that there was a solution to make it better, um, and not worse. But it's just crazy times. And it's funny is there's parts of the country where things are a lot better, and then just living in California, there's just places where they just are content to let things keep getting worse and not actually like do anything to change it or have a positive impact, and that's really frustrating, especially considering like how much money they spend on the issue without an improvement. Stats Big Ross says, "Yeah, I guess you can just do what you can in any small way." Absolutely. I think sometimes it's easy. It's easy in this country or in living in California where the state, where you pay taxes, pay a lot of taxes, and the state, promises that they'll fix the issue, but it doesn't negate like personal responsibility. If you do see something, there's an opportunity to do something, you should. I think the very least treating people that are in a bad spot with kindness and positive interactions versus just ignoring them or being unnecessarily rude. All right, so should say this real fast. It's gonna be Last week we did the 60-pound dumbbells for 3 sets of 10, which means this week I'm going to be moving up to the 65-pound dumbbells. That's 29.48 kilograms. And hopefully this doesn't hurt. This is going to be fun. All right. I know for some people, 65-pound dumbbells isn't a lot, but I'm very cautious with my chest and how fast I move up, as I did tear my pectoral muscle once. I don't want to do it again. That was not fun. How was life for you, Spooky Robot? Breathe for a second and hit it again. I definitely think in California, it's important to not trust that what you pay for from the government will be there. I think that was readily apparent in the LA fires. You need to, unfortunately, double prepare. Don't trust them to do their jobs. And that sucks because you really think that like things will be taken care of because you pay for those things, but you just gotta always cover yourself. Now we have to find a new house to buy, which is fun. Then we learned a lot from the last one over what we can't fix on our own, how much certain aspects of the house that we thought wouldn't bother us ended up bothering us in the long run. So keeping track of those kinds of things. and we're definitely being a little bit more choosy. We don't want a really old house, but more than not wanting an old house is not wanting a house that's been used as a rental, because I feel like it goes. Well, the last house we had having used as a rental, and it was clear that it had gone through some rough tenants, at the very least, and definitely some interesting repairs were done on the house. So it was something that's been a little better managed, a little better taken care of. And everyone says you're supposed to try and exceed your, like, just do a little bit more than you're comfortable with. I understand why they say it. I don't necessarily feel the same way. I'd rather breathe easier than stress over making a mortgage payment. All right, so that's 3 sets of 10 with the 65 pounds, 29.48 kilograms. So that means next week move up to 70. It's fun. I said before, I like to be smart about moving up, and do like these half steps over just throwing on another 10 pounds. But given how easy enough the 65 pounds were, I can definitely like move up to 70 pounds. Have some fun with that next week. It would be really cool to be able to eventually just do 100-pound dumbbells. I think that's a little ways off. Especially because I feel like if you can do it with the dumbbell, I always feel like you can do another like 20 or 30 pounds more with a barbell. Like every time, like whether or not I'm doing bicep curls or bench press, it always felt that way. It's way harder to do bench press with the dumbbells than a barbell for me. Other people may have different experience. And plus, you also have to have a lot more control and technique just getting it up. Let's go for another set. No, all right. That's 6. 6 reps. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take off 5 pounds, go down to 60 pounds, and see how it goes down there. And just work our way down the ladder from here. Again, just about being grateful. I'm just really glad I was able to do this, and it feels good. Very happy. Looking forward to moving up next week and seeing how that goes. We'll just keep making the little pushes up higher and higher. I tell you, after tearing my chest, I'm just really glad that there's not, I'm able to do this. That was a horrible time. Just because it cut out all of my ability to lift. I couldn't do, couldn't do any real lifting. Couldn't really run all out because just moving my arms, pumping my arms hurt. And that's where I just packed on so much weight. It's not doing anything. And I should have been smart. I should have kept walking at the very least, but I think I just got kind of depressed over the whole thing. And then just watching the weight just pile back on was increasingly depressing. And you just didn't want, you just get tired and you're frustrated with the weight and you don't feel motivated to get it off. And you always think, okay, well, next week. And then it just keeps climbing higher and higher each week. And just that snowball effect, man. Like I said before, we're talking about weight gain. The first 20 pounds, when I went from, 203 to 223, that took like a couple of months to pack on that weight. And then, it probably took like 3 or 4 months. And the next month, it was like jumping up to 230. And then I swear, before I turned around, I went from 230 to 246. And it was so fast and so scary that like really woke me up. It was like, hey, dude, like you're going to be in a really bad spot if you don't like fix this now. And it took me a year to get that weight off because I had a plan on doing it smart and making sure I didn't hurt myself again. So got that off, but it was really scary. And again, just avoiding injury, I think is key as much as you can. If I ever hurt myself again, I'm gonna have to figure out like a way to keep my cardio going or something, no matter what, because not eating isn't really in the cards for me. And sticking to, while injured and not able to lift, trying to do a tight diet to make sure I don't lose or gain weight would be incredibly difficult. I don't necessarily have the willpower for that. So whatever comes, I have to like make sure I stay mobile some way. I always feel bad when you see someone that you know was in great shape, and like you've never seen them when they were younger, but you can just tell by the way they carry themselves that they were an athlete in some point in their life, and then you see they've got like a knee brace on, or they've done something to themselves where they're walking painfully, and you're like, man, like, yeah, it just sucks. So they just pack on so much weight because they're used to eating lots because they were athletes, and then it just goes away. The habits don't go away, and then they're just like tightened, stuck in a body that they just can't get rid of. I think part of the problem too about like when we kind of jump into working out, I think a lot of us like we feel like we're gonna be like Rocky. Maybe that's outdated point for most everyone, but you know Rocky's it's time for him to get ready for that fight. He's out there running hard and drinking eggs out of the glass and just doing everything 110%. And there's like that side of like being a guy that you wanted that Rocky experience. So you don't drink raw eggs, but you buy the protein mixes and you buy all the best stuff to fuel your body. And then you get out there and you start taking all that stuff and exercising, and it just doesn't go the way it does for Rocky. I think what most of us miss in that story is Rocky's not like starting out from the couch. That's not day one of Rocky getting ready to fight Apollo Creed is not that moment. He's been working out and being in shape all of his life. So you can't look at that video and be like, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be like that. It's like, no, you're not where Rocky is at the beginning of the movie. You can't just automatically assume you're gonna do his workout. All right, that was just 5. Gonna go down to the 50 pounds now. So just working the way down the ladder. As I was thinking about Rocky, I was in that last set. I just realized how much groups like PETA have got to hate that movie. because I'm sure chasing around a chicken as an exercise would be considered uh, cruel to the chicken. They probably don't like that part. And then, of course, them punching, or Rocky punching the sides of beef to get in shape. And the slaughterhouse is probably not their favorite moment either. I wonder if those two things are enough to have gotten that movie canceled if it came out today. People will be like, oh, you can't show this, Stallone. That's animal cruelty on so many levels. I think the part that a lot of people miss out of the punching beef scenes is how bad that place had to smell. I know it's cold, but I still can't imagine that it smells good. Usually the cold helps with bad smells and odors. But I haven't been to a meat market or two. There's some funky smells. And blood smells bad. I worked for a company that sold seed and fertilizer, and they would have dehydrated blood that they would sell. And those, even though it's dehydrated, it still stank. That was the funny or the interesting thing about working in that industry is learning about how crops are fertilized. Because there's like the dehydrated blood they use. There's crushed bones that they use. Crushed shells is another one. People actually, they feed the crushed shells. You mix them in with your chicken feed so that they have, I think it's a higher calcium in their diet. If I remember correctly. But there's a lot of cool stuff too with like how they reintroduce nitrogen into a soil by they grow beans or peas, and just before the bean, or I think it's bean or pea, was just before they're about to sprout, they have a little bottle or a little bubble of nitrogen that forms in its roots. So then they go through and crush everything before this bean sprouts, and then they have more nitrogen in the soil. It's really fascinating. There's so much that goes into that world that I think most of us just don't know about, and we think it's easy to grow crops, but man, they are really, really smart with the way they do things. The other thing I learned when doing seeds is that like different types of plants. Like I always look at horse pastures and just thought everything just kind of grew naturally. And it never occurred to me that they had to plant more grass every year. I just thought those were just coming up by themselves. And, so I was definitely wrong there. But too, that in a horse pasture, you have to be very careful like what plants do grow. And I learned that because I accidentally mixed, we're doing this large mix for this horse pasture, and I put the wrong thing in it. And thankfully, the owner's wife, her daughter, caught that I screwed up, because what I put in there is a plant that causes horses a miscarriage. And that would have been a huge problem. I had to redo the whole mix. I just didn't know that was the thing. That's the one thing that's fun about having worked a lot of jobs, is you do learn a lot of things about the world and how complicated different parts of society are, more complicated than you thought they were. I tend to think things are, I don't know about you, so I won't put that on you, but I tend to think that things are simpler than they are. And you find out it's way more complex, way more moving parts. One thing that was interesting to me, it's how people portray the positive aspects of their group over the negative. And when they're trying to convince you to join their group, they make everything sound so much better. And I was talking to this person yesterday, and they were talking about how their particular group thinks that it's wrong to cut off family. Like, you're never allowed to cut off family. They said you're supposed to always, maintain some basic level of relations to one another. And that's good. And they talked about forgiveness, and like, yeah, this is how it works. And yeah, that sounds great. But I also know, and I didn't feel the need to argue with this person or slam this person out of just being polite and hearing what they had to say. But it was like, I also know though that your group, there's large portions of your group that practices like honor killings of like family members, especially females, that go against the family will. So it's like, oh, we're all really peaceful with each other and we forgive each other, but we'll also straight up murder you if you go outside of the group. It's colorful, very interesting piece of information that was left off of that point in the conversation. Although to also be fair, I doubt that this member of the group was part of that extreme or that version of the group because they were talking to me, which I was shocked in the first place that they were engaging so freely in conversation with me. So it's traditionally, and from certain parts of that group, they shouldn't really be. But all goes to show, you can't judge a book by its cover. I think it's one of the hard things in life is that you do want to be able to judge books by their cover. And you do want a simplistic approach to each category or group of life. Be able to sum up each group, and you just can't. And then when it comes to whatever group you are a part of or ideology you identify with, there'll always be somebody to point out the worst people in that group as well and be like, oh, well, you're part of this group. Well, this group has done X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, yeah, that's not in line with the ideology that I believe in and as was espoused by the leader. And they'll be like, oh, well, they say it does. All right, I got 3 minutes. And I gotta bounce. That was 7. Quickly do a set of 40. That's all I got time for. Hey, my fingers don't work. That's problematic. All right, last set. Here we go. All right, that's it for today. I've got to go do my fatherly duties. Just again, in the beginning, I was talking about feeling really grateful today. Still feel really grateful. I think being grateful though, it's one of those emotions and feelings though that you got to choose to have. Because if you want, I'm and you choose not to be grateful, there's plenty of excuses to not feel grateful and to be upset with your situation and what you may be in. And I definitely have had some low points in my life where feeling grateful. If someone told me, "Oh, you should feel grateful," I would have some very colorful four-letter responses to that statement. So I get it. Like it's a hard choice to make, but it's a good one if you can. Um, but again, I know it can be hard. But hopefully you guys have something to be grateful for, some good part of your day. Let me know. All right. God bless you. Thank you so much.